Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is another Saturday morning, and you on air with Ron and Romane. Unfortunately, Romane will not be joining us today. She may be calling in, but she won't be in studio today. So it is another brother hour. Me and TP are going to chop it up a little bit. And Brother TP posted something on Facebook the other day. And specifically, he said, should a man beg for sex or even intimacy? And we were hoping to have some ladies join us for some female input, maybe give us some insight into why this may happen. And look, I get it. There are times when, the mood isn't right. There are things going on because sex is more cerebral than the lower half of the body. You know what I mean? Enticement is always something that catches the eye, stimulates that center in the brain, and then, things should flow normally or naturally. But in a lot of relationships, that doesn't happen. You find that for people that are dating, there's always time for one another. There's never issue where a man has to, literally beg. That seems to happen later on in the relationship. After the nuptials, things slowly begin to change. Some of it as a result of, children being born, just the stresses of trying to come together as a couple. Sometimes we're not on the same page. That happens, and that's understandable. But, in talking to men, and TP, you can probably attest to this too, a lot of guys say that they run up against that problem, where the intimacy dies out. The relationship becomes almost stagnant. And I would imagine it's not just for one part, it's got to be for both. Because we're in this relationship together. So if it's a little stagnant for me, I'm sure it is for her as well. But you find so many men that say they literally got to beg for sex.
Well, bro, I just want to say this. I reached out to several women to be on this show with us today.
Mm-hmm.
And ladies, if you're listening, feel free to call in 888-304-4401 because we'd like to have your input on this as well. We don't want this to be a male-dominated topic. I want to be a free and clear and open discussion because I have my opinions and they're just my opinions. Ron has his opinions and they're just his opinions. But we can only take this topic and talk about it from the male perspective.
Absolutely.
And, and because we're going to have this conversation and it's going to be from the male perspective, some of you women that's listening are going to hear this. You're going to be mad at us. You're going to say, oh, you're wrong. You got it wrong. Well, that's why we need you to call in.
Absolutely.
Because old big head Doris Johnson was supposed to be on the show. I call her big head affectionately. I love her. That's my peoples and whatnot. And she imaged when I had made that post and I said we was going to do a show on it, she said that she wanted to be on the show.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, she had something to do with her son this morning. Had to take him to the doctor this morning, so she couldn't be a part of the show this morning. And I reached out to Maria Hernandez locally, who would have loved to have been a part of this show too today, but she's an entrepreneur, businesswoman in the area here,
okay.
And she had some appointments this morning, so she couldn't make it in to be on the show. So we're leaving this open for all you women that's listening, that's an earshot of the show. If you see us on social network, on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or anywhere you see us at, we're live right now. So you can call us at 888-304-4401 and join this discussion. Because what I say, Ron, is, intimacy doesn't only mean the act of sex.
Mm-hmm.
To me, intimacy can be just riding in the car, having a conversation, going on a road trip, sitting in the house watching TV together, lying in the bed together, watching a Lifetime movie.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's all
you know.
that.
So it could be any of those things, but we're gonna probably harbor on the sex part more than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's where the biggest misconception comes. So what do you think, Ron?
Well, you know what? I think that in our society, this act of sex has been cheapened so that it doesn't have the same meaning or value to us. Sex is actually a way of expressing our feeling for one another. That is a giving of oneself to another. And, it can be a very powerful thing, but it has been cheapened. So, for us to talk about this from a male perspective, I just want women to understand it is humiliating and degrading for a man to have to beg for anything. And I just want the ladies to understand this. If a man, say, just got paid, he's on his way home from work, and some guys run up on him and pull a gun on him and take his money, okay, the money can be replaced. But when they tell that man to get down on his knees and beg for his life, the money part, well, money comes and goes. But it is the humiliation that you will always remember.
That's right.
It is being demasculated that you will never forget. And then to have to go home and to literally beg your significant other, your wife, or the woman you're in a committed relationship with for some time, to beg. It is the same humiliation. It is the same demasculation you feel. So it doesn't matter whether it's the guy with the gun or the woman that lies next to you. You still have to beg. And that is so difficult for people to do. And I guess the question is, why should you have to? And again, I get it. Things happen in relationships. Sometimes, listen, you're tired. I get it. Everybody gets tired. Sometimes, the mindset isn't right. The mood isn't right. But when it happens repeatedly, then you have to call into question, is it a power thing? And, I really wish we had a couple of ladies here.
Yeah.
That's a question I would like to pose to them. Is it a power thing? Do you feel as if this is a way of controlling your man?
Well, bro, I got to say this. In my opinion, I think it is about control. I think the only time you're in a committed relationship or marriage and a woman, if she's healthy,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, if there's a health issue, that's a different story. That's understandable.
Right.
But if there's no health issue and you are being the man that you're supposed to be, meaning that you're covering your family, you're covering her as she should be covering you, and for whatever reasons, she decided that she's going to hold back on the loving, because she wanted something that you didn't give her.
Right.
It is an act of selfishness, and she knows that you are dedicated to her and you're not running around here with a bunch of other women or other women at all. And she know that all the loving you're going to get got to come from her, and because you didn't, you decided to opt out on that $700 hairdo that she wanted. When that $700 could have paid down that credit card debt from Christmas. So she mad because you opted out from the $700 hairdo. So now she's gonna hold the sex ransom. That's what I call it, holding it ransom. And that's not cool. And I think that's all about control, you know?
Well, you know what eventually is going to happen is that man is going to seek outside. Um, that man is going to go outside and seek that. He's going to fulfill his desires someplace other than home. Should it have to come to that? No, it should not. But, you know, to use an analogy, if a woman goes to look for a pair of shoes and she goes to, say, Macy's, and Macy's doesn't have what she's looking for, she's going to go to another store.
Absolutely.
And she's going to keep looking till she finds that exact pair of shoes that she wants.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, that is kind of broad analogy, right? Because, you know, you can't really compare the shoes to, you know, having sex with someone else other than your spouse.
But sometimes, Ron, they love shoes more than they love us.
Yeah, but you know
look
something?
Look at those closets, man. Look at them closets, man.
That's true. But it's not really about the shoes. It's about looking for something that you want. That's what I want, you know, the ladies who are listening to take away. It's not the shoes, it's not the specific item. It's just finding what you want, what you desire. And if you have a man at home and he is not finding what he desires.
Then we got a call.
Yes, we do. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. This is Sophia. Hey, Ron. How are you?
I'm doing well. Happy New Year. How are you?
Good. Happy New Year. So, love the topic. I'm disappointed we have no women on the show because I think it's an important part of it. Right?
Ron, pull that green mic over a little bit.
Involved in the scenario. However, got a couple minutes, so I'm just going to quickly say I've been listening to kind of some of the commentaries, and I want to quickly say, TP, with, you know, your comment as far as, you know, some women may hope.
Oh man, we lost her.
Sophia, please call back. We lost you. We need your input.
Yes, we do.
And I think Sophia is the perfect person to, you know, call in. I think she's the first perfect person to call in. There she is. She's calling back. Let's grab that.
Sorry about that. I was moving the mic around. But okay.
That's all right. I thought you didn't want to hear what I had to say.
Oh, we certainly do. We were hoping to have some female input because we need it.
Yeah, no, and I agree. I think this goes back to men are for Mars and women are for Venus, and just a different perspective as it relates to intimacy. And I'll say this. I think when we get into the materialistic aspect of it and holding back because, you know, a woman doesn't get what she wants, there is so much more behind that, and it's a maturity thing. It's not, you know, again, if we're talking about, you know, just tangible things that, you know, she's looking for and she doesn't get what she wants, and to me, that's a maturity play, and it's much deeper than just not getting what they want. So to your point, CP, the control aspect, I agree. If women are utilizing that as a form of holding back from their partner, that obviously is not, you know, not right, and it's immature. However, I'll also say that what we miss sometimes is the value of the intimacy comes for women. I'll just speak for women. You know, there's a emotion. There is a stimulation, mental, physical stimulation that's attached. And, you know, and I'll say, you know, some men, they can look at someone and, you know, they're on. Women need more than that. And a lot of that is about feeling safe and cared for in the relationship. And I agree, it's not just about sex. It's about all the other factors of intimacy that build that relationship, that get you to that point as well. So, you know, again, we have to look at how is that relationship really being valued and respected to get to that point of intimacy where, you know, that the sex factor is there. And again, a lot of that is attached to the emotion, right? It's attached to how is that person feeling at that moment, whether it's mind or body, and connecting both. And I think we just really need to attach that piece to the intimacy, to the sex, to evolving to sex. So that's just my opinion. I think for women, it really is an attachment to that person, mind, body, and soul, to truly relate to that intimacy and build from there to the sex piece. Now, to your point, TP, there are women who have, physical conditions or other stuff going on. Let's all talk about perimenopausal, menopause, et cetera, and so on. Family life, children, their minds are all over the place. They're, doing so many different things. And I think as men, and I'll just say my opinion is, men need to be cognizant that yes, you might be some of you might be breadwinners and, working, but women are also doing a lot of work as well at home. And we need to be just very in tune to the needs of both individuals so that is not something that's held against the man or the woman as it relates to holding back from sex. And that's just my opinion.
Okay, so I have a question for you. Because this is common to hear men say that they're almost begging, and sometimes literally begging for sex, for intimacy. Or you hear the term, a guy will say, well, I got lucky, right? How many women do you know? And I know, look, sometimes men withhold intimacy too, maybe for different reasons, but it does happen. It does happen, right? But how many women do you know personally that have had to beg for intimacy and sex? And how do you think you would feel if you were in that position?
No, and you know what? Obviously not with my husband, thank the Lord, but I've been in that position. And again, I think a lot of that, and you have to know as a man, what's your mental state at that point in time, right? What is it that you're feeling at that point in time? And I think that's what we miss. We don't have those conversations. We don't, and women have gone, I know women who have gone through those situations, myself included. However, it goes back to, and you guys know better than me, as a man, there's something that's stopping you from doing that as well. Now I would say probably more men deal with that than women. However, there are women who have dealt with that. But again, it goes back to what's the state of mind at that point in time, what's going on in the relationship. Because there's always something deeper that stops us from, reacting or has us reacting a certain way to holding back. So there's something deeper that we just don't, we all look at the surface all the time and we don't really look at what's going on, but, beneath that is what I'm saying.
Well, what I like to say is you said something that was, real relevant, meaning that communication is key here. Because if there's something going on in the relationship that's affecting your intimacy, in my opinion, that's just a conversation. We need to talk about it. You can't not talk about it and become a recluse when it comes to intimacy in your relationship, because sometimes men rarely talk to each other about intimacy issues in their relationship. But I think women, y'all are more open with each other. Y'all talk about everything. You know what I'm saying? I mean, y'all will help y'all best friend sabotage her relationship, and don't even realize you're doing it. I think. Sometimes I think they know they're doing it, but y'all women talk about everything.
I'll tend to disagree. We'll agree to disagree on that one.
Okay.
I think it depends on the people, but
right.
No, I mean there are people who will do that. Yep, absolutely.
But you all talk with each other about everything, and sometimes I think that women will talk to each other. It's kind of like self-medicating. You'll help each other out, but only one side of the relationship is getting the help, because she's not coming home talking to you about what her and her girlfriends talked about your issue. You know what I mean? So you don't know what she's going through and what type of therapy she got from her girlfriends. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know something?
Yeah, and I agree. I agree, Cece, and I think again it goes back to the maturity of the relationship. I mean, I get where you're going. And as women, there's a support mechanism there, right? Just like, and again, men have their own, however they talk to one another or they don't, whatever. But I think it's all, again, if you trust and value your relationship with your partner, that conversation, those intimate, specific details and things that are going on in their lives that are stopping them from moving forward in their relationship and the intimacy or the bedroom, let's put it the bedroom, or wherever you're doing it, you have to have those conversations, regardless if you're having it with your girlfriend. It doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, the two people that matter are the people in that home, right? So and that to me is more advice for women, because that's the advice I normally say, look, you two need to figure it out. Like, I can't solve your relationship issues or solve your, intimacy issues or whatever have you. I can only tell you from my experience, but y'all need to sit together and have that conversation, because nothing I say, I'm not that person in that relationship, right? And you are two individuals that have to come together. And that's where I think the maturity aspect comes into the fold, is if those conversations are not being had, there's a reason why they're not being had. Either they're not feeling safe in having those conversations, maybe feeling judged. And that has to be, again, everybody has to figure that out, amongst themselves. But those are things that could be happening as to why those conversations are not being had with their partner.
Well, yeah, that's true. I mean, communication is so important in every relationship, in every aspect of a relationship. But it just seems that, and I guess in our society, there's a misnomer that only men are or take a real interest in sex, which is ridiculous, right? It really is. It's absolutely ridiculous, because look, we live in a male-dominated society, right? So women are expected to be submissive, and that submissiveness is supposed to roll over into the bedroom as well, right? The bedroom and the boardroom is supposed to be total submission. That's not reality.
Well, it doesn't have to be either. I don't totally agree with that.
But but that is the way we're socialized, right? I think that a lot of women, at least younger women, and some that carry the belief through life that only men are only interested in one thing. And, you don't marry a woman if the only aspect of the relationship that appeals to you is sex. Because eventually things can change. Physically, we're all going to undergo changes. So things will change. And if that's all you have, then you don't really have anything. But it just seems that it just seems that, what happens is, as the relationship changes from dating to marriage, the level of intimacy begins to depreciate significantly. And I get it. As we said at the start, children are born. Circumstances change within the relationship, and there's pressure that are exerted from outside that you may not have had to deal with prior to getting married. But it just seems that so many married men, right, will talk about, well, I got lucky. What does luck have to do in a committed relationship?
Well,
you're married to this woman.
I don't believe in luck. You just got to be prepared for the opportunity.
Well, yeah, but some guys will literally say, I got lucky. Lucky?
Got the $100 plan last night.
You know what I mean? Like, no,
But are you, so let me ask you this. Are men saying they got lucky just because they've been expecting it and they're just, the one time they got it, they're like, again, it goes back to those conversations that are being had and how they're communicating. what you guys are saying is, hey, I've been trying to get some for my wife, and
she's been holding it ransom.
That's really what you're saying. That's what lucky really is.
Yeah, well,
Absolutely.
but that's when a woman is holding it ransom.
Hold it there as to why it's not happening.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think maybe socialization plays some role. And I think that when we are dating, right, I don't know if we have the conversations we're going to need for the future. You know, a lot of times we spend so much time going to the movies, out to dinner, you know, talking about stuff that is really not substantive. So that when we get married, we're really just learning one another. And it's at that point that you begin to learn that we have very different needs, very different sex drives, right? In some cases, it may be the woman that has a much greater libido than the man. So there's an imbalance there. You know, society suggests that it is always the man that has the higher rate of libido. I mean, how many times have you heard women say all men are dogs, right? So I guess the misconception is that men have the more active libido, and this is all we think about, you know.
Well, but you keep in mind, our biological clock is ticking too with that libido.
Absolutely, right? You know, and that's why I said we're all going to undergo changes. Nothing stays the same, you know, but it just seems that now, you know, women will talk about sex, I guess, more so openly than men, right? Those conversations typically don't happen, you know, between men and women. That's something that guys will talk to other guys about, and women will talk to other women about. So we don't really understand the change, why there's the lack of intimacy. Why is it that, you know, it's been weeks and nothing seems to be happening? And, you know, you try and introduce new things into the bedroom to enhance things, but your partner doesn't seem to be responding. And again, I know there are so many psychological things that could be going on.
Maybe she just got a boy toy somewhere.
And that's a possibility too. But, you know, these things we need to understand. That's why it's so important that, you know, that you called in and that other women will express their opinion as well. So that maybe somebody who is listening will say, you know what? Yeah, we need to sit down and we need to discuss this. Well, I need to understand.
Well, you know what?
I
got to say this, Stefan, you calling in kind of kept me in line because I was about to rev my engines up and go. I was about to go. You know what I mean? I was about to jump in with 2 feet, and everybody would have been hating me. Y'all that came in here tomorrow to do y'all show, nobody would have spoke to me because I was about to go.
I have like 2 minutes because I have an appointment. However, I just want to say this. I was hearing, Ron, what you said as far as, you know, bringing stuff into the bedroom and trying to make things a little, you know, I guess sexier, as we would say. However, again, I go back to the whole, for a woman, what internally, okay, what is going in her mind, what is going on with her mind and her body and her emotions that is driving her not to want to be at that level at that point in time. So that's, again, a consideration and conversation. Maybe at that point in time, it's just not going to work because she's not in the right mindset to go there. However, the conversation at some point has to be had amongst both partners. And I'll leave y'all with that because I got to run for an appointment. And thank you for hearing me out on the women's side. Hopefully other women call in. 888-304-4401. Call in. Talk to y'all soon. Love y'all.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye-bye. Yeah, well, you know, Ron, sometimes, like I said, you know, we can sabotage our own relationships for whatever reasons. We get mad about some trivial thing, you know, because I often hear people, even me, you know, we say something triggered us to act a certain way, or use the term trigger word. So that was a trigger word for me, you know. because again, you are traveling back through time and to revisit a situation that you had in your past.
Mhm.
So then you talk about what triggers you, you know. But sometimes you got to let all that stuff go.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes what you think is a trigger word really ain't a trigger word. That person that have that conversation or mention something really got their best interest at heart for you, you know, and you are taking it as something negative, you know, because sometimes I think, you know, our sensitivity getting away, you know what I mean? Because me and a friend of mine, God rest his soul, he passed away just, you know, a few months back, you know, and he'd call me up. He was venting, and I listened to him talk, you know. He was so pissed off at his wife because they was having a debate about defending her honor, you know, and it was over a road rage type of situation where, you know, she picked him up from work and he jumped on the passenger side and she's driving, and it was, she had road rage about something. So she rolled down the window and started cussing, and unfortunately, about 2 lights down, they're side by side at the light. Now this man rolled down his window and he called her everything but a child of God, right? And she's arguing with him, and he's telling his wife to calm down, you know, like, shut up, calm down, you know. And before he could step in to do anything, you know, the other car sped off, right? Because I guess he looked over and saw this man on the passenger side. He thought, oh wow, I thought it was just a woman in here, and I was giving her the business. So he sped off. But he called me up. He was pissed off. He said because she told him her ex-man would have never let that happen. You know, he would have got out and did something, or he would have chased the car down and he would have dealt with him. You know what? And that pissed him off. You know, because
understandably,
because here you are in a situation that was road rage, that nobody really should get that deep into road rage. But the negative thing was that hurt him more than anything else was, call me a punk, call me anything else, but don't tell me that your ex-man would have did something that I didn't do. Now that's an insult.
Well, you know something? It is an attack on your manhood. When you say something like that, you're questioning my manhood. And, you know, the same can be said about when you withhold sex, right? It is a need for all of us. You know, male, female, it is a need for all of us. We're created that way. So when you withhold that, or when you question a man's manhood, you take away something from him, something deep within, right? And I think it is important that ladies hear this and understand, because we talk about the emotional and psychological side for women. I think women need to understand the emotional and psychological side for men. And that's the conversation that we do not have. And I think it's very important for us, particularly as Black folks, to understand that we go into relationships, for the most part, none of us really had the conversation with our parents. Because, you know, for most of us, Black folks, we come from this church background where we don't talk about certain subjects. In fact, so many things we're told, don't talk about that. Whatever you hear in this house stays in this house. Whatever goes on in this family stays in this family. You don't let this information get out. So you come in, you enter into relationships lacking certain knowledge that you should have. And of course, later on down the road, it's going to create some problems.
Well, check this out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to switch gears just a little bit, right? Like my man Ted, God rest his soul, he said that all he could hear over and over again, every time he had a moment to himself, was his wife comparing him to her ex,
Mm-hmm.
And he said, that was enough for him to get a divorce,
Mm-hmm.
that he considered he needed to leave her alone.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And what that led to, it opened the door for him to have a conversation with his female co-worker.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked her, did she think that was an appropriate statement?
Right.
His co-worker told him that it wasn't appropriate, but she may have got caught up in the moment. You know how some people answer to respond,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes in anger you say things you really don't mean.
Mm-hmm.
That's why sometimes you can't, if you upset and angry, sometimes the best thing to do is say nothing.
Absolutely.
Right? Because you will say something, life and death lies within the tongue. You know that.
Absolutely.
Right? And
It
once it goes out and past your ear gate, you can't get it back.
Nope.
And he said that he couldn't get past it. He said every time he saw her, he thought about her ex, who she had a child with.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Who was an absentee dad who would surface every now and then. So to him, that meant that you still have feelings for this dude, because now you're leaving us men to our own devices to form our own opinion based upon something you said. Because you just told me that your ex is a better man than I am. You just told me that by saying that. But when I said I'm going to switch gears, this is where the other woman comes into the equation.
Mm-hmm.
Because now he's seeking to have his wounds licked and healed.
Absolutely.
He needs to be built up again as a man, So guess what? The coworker said she was wrong. She should have did it. That wasn't cool. So what does he do now? He spends more time talking to the coworker. Now they're going to lunch together.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They sticking around a little bit after work. You know what I mean? Before you know it, this single co-worker who, I don't know if she was divorced or whatever, anything, but next thing you know, they just became more than just friends.
That happens all the time.
She's no longer the co-worker. Now, sometimes, and it can happen both ways. A man can say something to a woman that make her seek out another man's opinion to make her feel like a woman again.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Make her feel like she's desirable and she's sexy, and that she is the prize. You know what I mean?
Right.
But sometimes we open the door for the extramarital relationship, the woman outside your relationship, the man outside your relationship. I see you smiling, Ron, so I'm gonna let you jump in.
Well, you know something? There was a song in the 70s called "The Cleanup Woman."
Oh yeah, I remember that
song.
Yeah, listen. Mary made a gospel song off that track.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I remember the cleanup woman.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what you're not getting at home, the cleanup woman is going to take care of that.
Absolutely.
If you are feeling less than a man at home because that woman has said something. Now look, all of us have defenses up. Some things you can say and it just doesn't penetrate, doesn't mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
But when the person that you're committed to, the person that you are spending your life with,
mm-hmm.
says something like that, that is something that goes to the core of who you are as a man.
Absolutely.
Right? And even though you may forgive it, you're probably not going to forget it.
Oh, no.
It's always going to be in the back of your mind. And yes, it certainly does open the door for you to seek comfort outside. And, for your wife or significant other, if she's in tune with you, she knows the damage she has done, but maybe she don't know how to repair it.
Well, maybe she might not know how to repair it. Maybe she might take that old adage, "Oh, just get over it."
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Right.
Oh, the Holocaust? Oh, just get over it.
Right.
Slavery? Oh, just get over it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It happened so long ago. Get over it. You know what I mean? Maybe that's how they think with relationships sometimes when you say some things, because you know what? Sometimes, I know me. I can talk about me.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm in my feelings and my sensitivity getting away, I'm a thinker, right? And I play the game of what ifs, right? Sometimes I'm a fall back. I'm gonna get quiet. I'm not gonna say nothing, because I know that if that's me in that situation, you can be the best one. Sometimes I can say this about the difference between men and women. A man will check out a relationship and be gone long before the woman know he's checked out and he's gone. You know, and it can happen with women too. But what I'm saying to you is, a man will break up with a woman, and it won't be over another woman. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, me, you would say something like that to me, and you can fall on the sword and be very apologetic and be the nicest thing since sliced bread, and do the best thing you could possibly do for me to make me feel happy. But I would still have that moment when I'm sitting on the couch with the remote in my hand, you know, watching the basketball game, the baseball game, the football game, and the commercial come on, and you in the kitchen looking like brand new money, cooking my favorite meal, and I'll be saying, you know, this bitch tried to play me.
Mm-hmm.
She disrespected me, you know, because you cut me deep.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And sometimes there's some things that's unforgivable with men. Women are more forgiving than men.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
And there's some things that's just unforgivable, because you know what? It's like, how could you say something like that? You know what I mean? Because now my manhood has been insulted, right? So you know what? I'm about to update my wardrobe. You know what I mean? Guess what? You know what I'm doing? I'm about to upgrade my ride. You know what I mean? Instead of getting my hair cut every 2 weeks, I'm getting my hair cut every week. My bed gonna be lined up every day, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna put on the best smelling cologne that smells on me every day. You know why? Because I need to be built up where I was tore down.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And only thing that's gonna build me back up is Miss Wonderful, because you're no longer Miss Wonderful, because you said the worst thing you could possibly say to me,
Mm-hmm.
other than saying that the kids ain't mine.
Right.
Because those two right things, in my opinion, those two things run line in line. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
In the hurt department. You know what I mean? Don't compare me to that last dude. I don't care where he at.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You know, and don't let it be like somebody that he may have passed away or something. You know, you compare me to him, and then if you know something about him, you know what? Hold up. You know what? You knew he wasn't shit from top to bottom from day one. That's why you ain't with him.
Right.
But he would have done something different, and he may have ended up dead or in jail. But some things you just don't say, and there's no coming back from.
And you know something? It's all about communication and understanding communication, what to say and what not to say. You know, sometimes we're so frustrated and angry, we just say whatever comes to mind. Well, if you do that, oh, look, you have a right to do it. But understand there's repercussions.
Oh, yeah.
For every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction.
Absolutely.
So if you're going to say something like that to me, now I need to defend myself.
Absolutely.
My honor, my manhood.
Absolutely.
And most men, I would think most men at that point, they're not going to say anything.
Hey, look here. When it get like that for me, after I got my new ride, updated my wardrobe, went to the gym, lost a few pounds, got my smell good on.
Mm-hmm.
You know where I'm going? I'm going to Walmart. Because
Well,
you know what?
To do some shopping.
I'm going to do some shopping. I'm going to Walmart.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And then after I leave Walmart, then I'm going to Home Depot.
Mm-hmm.
You know why? Because all the single women that's
where
looking
they
for
are.
a man, they in
Mm-hmm.
Home Depot and Lowe's.
Yes, they are.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna come through there looking good, smelling good, you know, and I always got $2 above lunch money.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we can have a little ice cream and cake.
Right.
But it's not because I want to leave her. I just need to feel better about myself.
You need to build yourself up, right? And the idea is, and this is what I was saying before about the humiliation factor. Once you do that, once you make a man beg, you take something away from him. You destroy.
I'm really too proud to beg.
There you go. Now, look, you know, the temptation said, ain't too proud to beg, right? Sometimes you got to put your pride aside. If you know you have a good woman at home and you know you were the one that was wrong and you see that she's checked out, that might be the time to say, man, the hell with pride.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I got a good woman and I can't let her leave. Right?
I wholeheartedly agree.
But the same women got to understand the same situation can happen in the reverse. And you said something like what was said to your friend that cuts so deep.
Yeah.
And then once you say it, you know immediately, damn, I shouldn't have said that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, right? I have wounded this man deeply. Now, how do I fix that? You know what I mean? It's so difficult because we're going to shut down at that point.
You can cancel Christmas.
You cancel Christmas. We're going to shut down at that point.
Cancel Christmas.
We're not going to say anything, but we're thinking all the time, right? Wow, how could she say that to me?
What did I do to deserve that?
Right.
And it started over road rage.
Something that, you know, I mean, people get killed over these silly road rage incidents, right? So you're asking me to either go out, physically harm somebody, maybe kill them over something. No, you know, there wasn't an accident. Nobody was hurt. Just you're angry.
Mm-hmm.
And it probably had nothing to do with this incident with the driver. Probably was a trigger for something that's been going on for some time.
Right.
So now you want me to go out and maybe harm somebody and go to jail, or possibly go out there and get myself killed. I don't know what this guy has in his car. I walk up on this guy. He feels threatened. He starts shooting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what have we gained by that? You know, so I get it, right? You know, the idea is I don't know how to express what I really want to say. So I'm going to say something that's going to hurt you deeply.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, there's a situation that's been ongoing. And, you know, men tend to shut down.
Yep.
But women, on the other hand, and I don't want to say all women, but I know a lot of times there are situations where something is going on with the woman. She doesn't want to tell you. She's more of the mindset, why don't you know? Well, I don't know because, look, I'm dealing with things also. I'm dealing with, you know, things going on at work, things going on with me emotionally, psychologically. Yet, you want me to come home and mind read and know exactly what's going on with you. And it's not possible. If there's something you need to tell me, just say it. You know, like how many times have you asked a woman, what's wrong? Nothing.
Nothing.
You sure? No, I'm sure. Well, then what's the attitude about? If there's something you need to say, let's have a conversation. Why? Eventually, they'll come around and begin to open up about it. What's taking so long? Why wait till, you know, the molehill becomes a mountain before you say something?
Like my man said to me, boy, he said, she finally said, you want to know what it is? Well, here it is.
Right.
You know,
Right.
And she hit you with the 2 puff head bust.
Yeah, like, why do we need to go this far? You know, if it's a little problem, let's deal with it. It's like, you got a leak in your house. Why wait till the pipe burst before you begin to address the issue? So if there's something going on with you, emotionally, psychologically, something you feel you're missing in a relationship, let's talk about it. Let's see what we can do to fix it. Let's not wait to the point where you packing your bags, but you never told me what the problem was. You never gave me an opportunity to address it. You're just packing your bag. You're checking out.
Yeah, bags packed, she gone. But again, you know what? Everything's just a conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think a man should hold back the intimacy and hold it ransom.
Mm-hmm.
Neither should a woman, because in my opinion, see, me being an IT guy, right? And the big thing in the industry is network securities. You hear about ransomware, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, with ransomware, either you pay the ransom,
mm-hmm.
or you go out and say, screw that. I'm not giving in to the ransom.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go out and spend this money and build me a whole new network.
Right.
And start from scratch. You know what I mean? Even though building a new network means I'm going to lose all the information I had before that I might not be able to get back. But in most cases, you can get some of it back. You might just going to lose a few days, a few weeks or whatever. If you not have a multi-million-dollar business where you're going to lose millions of dollars a day,
mm-hmm.
You can say, I'm just going to build me a new network. I'm not going to pay the ransom. You know what I'm saying? But I equate that to relationships. You holding it ransom, I'm going to get to a point where I say, you know what? You keep that. You keep that.
Yep.
I'm not going to beg. You know what I'm saying? But you know what? I'm going to go out here and I'm going to find me somebody that want to love on me like I want to love with her. You know what I'm saying? Guess what? I'm going to put together my exit strategy. You know what I mean? I'm going to put together my exit strategy. I'm getting out of here.
Right.
Because guess what? After the loving is gone, you know what I mean? I know sometimes we say, you don't throw everything out over that. You know what I mean? But if there's nothing physically wrong with you, and if there's something emotionally wrong with you, we can go get that fixed too.
Right.
But if you just outright disrespectful and stubborn and mean and being selfish and being narcissistic because you want control and you're going to use this to control me,
mm-hmm.
all right, then you keep that, because I'm putting my exit strategy together. You know what I mean? And I'm going to go out here and I'm going to find Miss Wonderful. And I'm going to leave. You're going to wake up one day and you're going to be like, hold up. He ain't call me. He ain't text me. What happened? No, you happened. I didn't change. You changed. It's like when you get $2 above lunch money, right? Ron, we love the hood. I love the hood, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would have stayed in the hood and helped build up my community as much as I possibly could. I didn't change.
Right.
But everybody around me changed.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody wants to be me but me sometimes, right? Nobody want to walk a mile in your shoes, right? And that's the same thing with these relationships. Like, baby, I need you to be here for me emotionally, physically, and mentally. You
mm-hmm.
can't check out on neither one, because I'm not going to check out on you, because guess what? You can piss me off to the highest of positivity, right? And you need something, I'm going to meet you at your need. It don't matter how pissed off I am.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You know what I mean? Because it's supposed to be me for you and you for me, no matter what the situation is.
Mm-hmm.
We gonna work it out, no matter what the situation is. But I think sometimes, when I said before that some women will sabotage their own relationship,
mm-hmm.
stuff, I ain't gonna like this, but women talk to each other, and misery loves company. You know what I mean? And no matter how happy they paint the picture on the outside, when they close that door, them two people who look happy might retreat to their separate corners.
They most certainly do.
You know what I'm saying? So although she looked like she's the ideal person to talk to, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they look like they have a perfect relationship, but she might be miserable. She might be vicariously living her life through you. So what is she gonna give you? Bad advice. bad advice, because we are most susceptible to bad advice in our relationships. When you can't talk to each other, and you got to talk to your homeboy, your homegirl, your brother and your sister, you're better off going to therapy and speaking to a neutral party than somebody else.
Relationship therapy, yeah.
Yes.
And I'll tell you something, right? I think this is a very individual thing, but in relationships, everybody has something that's a deal breaker.
Oh yeah.
Right. So a lot of times for men, when you withhold intimacy, that's a deal breaker.
Oh, that's a deal breaker.
Right.
What I always say, you can cancel Christmas.
There you go. You can cancel Christmas on that one. Because you're like, well, this is an important aspect of our relationship. It's not all of our relationship.
No.
But it plays a major part. If you love me, show me how much you love me.
And,
right.
And you know something, Ron? I'm a people watcher. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And as I travel through the tri-state and around the country from time, I look at these older couples that, they can say they have their 50th anniversary, right? And they've been together forever and a day, right? I know times have changed.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
But, when I see them walking through the store and they holding hands, and it's a couple from my old neighborhood. Their son was a friend of mine growing up. His mother and father, I see them, they be twinning. They be wearing same sweatsuits and outfits together, matching. And they're in their 70s.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or closer to their 80s.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's love. Right? So he obviously didn't hold anything back from her, and she didn't hold anything back from him.
Right.
You know what I mean? So when I see stuff like that, I say, damn, how do I get that? That's what I want. That's what I want.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to walk through the mall because I know she likes it. I hate going to the mall, but I will go to the mall and walk through the mall and hold her hand just because I know she likes it.
Mm-hmm.
And I will sit outside that store. I'm going to sit on this bench and you go in there and shop. I'm going to sit right here. You know what I mean? It's ways to make it work. But I envy those older people who's been together forever and a day, because you know what? She didn't hold nothing ransom. And neither did he.
I think what it is, it's all about sacrifice, right? Like you say, you hate going to the mall, so do I. But sometimes, if that's what she wants and what she needs, you're willing to sacrifice.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, you know what? I watch football another time, right? I'll go do what I normally do another time, right? We'll sacrifice for one another. And the same thing happens in the living room, should happen in the bedroom.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you got to understand something. Like Stefania was saying, for women, it seems it's more psychological, right?
Yes.
I need to feel safe. I need to feel this. I need to feel that. Okay, I get it, right? But for a lot of guys, it may come down to, well, can you just sacrifice just this once?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, because it's been a while, right?
Hey, Ron, we want a lady on the town, a woman in the house, and a freak in the sack.
Yes.
Yes. And guess what? When we linked up, you was all up above.
Right.
So how you going to change the game in the ninth inning?
And you know something? Women say the same thing. They say it a little differently. I want a man that got a little thug in him. What does that mean? What's a little thug? How do you translate thug into a relationship, or little thug into a relationship? So I guess, it is a persona, as well as somebody in the bedroom, right, who's going to get real busy, right?
You know what, Ron? You talk about a woman that talk about she want a little bit of a thug, right?
Mm-hmm.
I done told you my story how, growing up, I was the cornball. I was the nerdy guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have to get tough till the high school level.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because I had to prove myself that I was more than just the private school bookworm kid that the public school kids took for granted. You know what I mean? So, you know what? And I've been called a nerd. You know, yeah, he's a little nerd dude now, but how you like me now?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, you know what happens. Times change and people change. So what you wanted as a teenager, you don't really want in your 20s and 30s.
Absolutely.
And definitely not in your 40s and 50s.
Absolutely.
You know, I think Muhammad Ali said something like, if you think the same way as you did in your 20s as you do in your 30s and 40s, then you haven't really learned anything.
That's right.
So, you know, if we are still looking for the same things, we're not maturing.
No.
But, you know, for a woman who in high school may have been that girl who wanted to be with the thugged out cats, after high school, things begin to change. Like, is this the life I really wanted? Dude, that's a revolving door going, you know, in and out of jail.
And into the cemetery.
Right. Is this all there is to life? Now, the nerdy guy don't look so bad. You know what it is? Now you realize this guy that you consider to be a nerd, he's the one that's going to offer you stability.
Absolutely. You know what? And what's ironic is with the life of social network and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all this stuff, you know, everybody reconnected, right? Even the guys that, you know, tried to thug you, bully you, they forgot the way they treated you in high school, you know, and they want to be your friend in social network. They want to see, what you're doing in life, right? Right? Which is cool, you know. We grow, we evolve. It's not a big thing. But what's funny is I get more women who didn't like my style or had nothing to say to me in high school, right? Now they see me on social network and they hit me with the famous, you remember me? Right. You know what I mean? And yeah, I remember you. I could tell you some things that I really remember about you, but yeah, I remember you. You know what I mean? I'm not going to beat you up, you know, and tell you how mean and nasty you was, you know, growing up. But yeah, okay, we can be friends on social network. Yeah, you know, it's all good, you know. And when you look at their life, where they at, and your life, where you at, you know, sometimes it's very similar, and then sometimes it's like, oh, okay, yeah. You done been through the ringer, huh? You know, you used to look like brand new money. Now you look like 10 miles of bad road. You know what I mean? So what happened? I want to say that sometimes. What happened to you? You know what I mean? But again, you wanted to get with Crunchy Black, as I call it. You know, he you know, whatever happened to Crunchy Black? Oh, he got life in prison. Oh yeah. What happened to Big Red? Oh, he got murdered. Oh, really? Yeah. So you got a baby by Crunchy Black and a baby by Big Red, you know, and you married the golden child, but where he at? Oh, he left for this young girl and blah, 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 blah. So you got 4 kids, 3 different dudes, and you're single now. You know, you ain't got nothing going on for you. So now you're going to hit me with the remember me?
Yeah, you know, that's part of that development, right? So, you know, I had this conversation the other day. We're more attracted to things than people. So what catches your eye is the bling, the nice clothes, the nice car. Don't tell you nothing about the person driving the car. You just caught up in the things. So I guess it's the adventure, the excitement. Then reality sets in. You know, it may take a little while, but then it's like, yo, this is not what I wanted. Yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was exciting. But now I'm not looking for excitement. I'm looking to feel safe. I'm looking for stability. I'm looking for a man who's going to take care of me, who's going to put me first. And yeah, that may have been the nerdy kid, but because he didn't have those things that would catch your eye, never gave it another thought.
That's
Now
right.
that maturity is set in, and you're looking for that stability and that safety net. Somebody who puts you first. Now it's like, well, I'm not really, I'm not digging the thugged out cats anymore, because yeah, you've been through the ringer. You see some of these situations where women will hook up with some guy, women that are doing well for themselves, college students, college graduates, end up going to jail, running behind some drug deal, and never sold a drug in their life. Just happen to be within that circle,
Absolutely.
and you doing 10, 15 years of your life because you wanted the excitement, but hopefully, you wake up and you realize you can't have fun all your life. Reality got to set in at some point. And it's really, and I know you hoped also that more women would call in, so we could have a more spirited debate, because this is not to bash women, right? And I think that perhaps women think that whenever we talk about, our female counterparts, that it is a bashing session, and it's not.
No.
Sometimes it's all about understanding. And there's so much that we need to understand. If we're going to have healthy relationships, we need to understand certain things. And a lot of times the mistakes we've made within our relationships, our children are going to make those same mistakes. So we need to fix these problems that we have before it becomes a problem for the next generation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, it's just nice, to sit down and talk sometimes so that we can have a better understanding of one another and why these things happen. Why men talk about, well, I'm getting lucky, or hopefully I'm getting lucky tonight, right? That should never be a situation that we have to deal with. We need to, hey, baby, let's talk. So, it's just been, good time just sitting here kicking it with your TP.
Always is, man.
And, hopefully, some ladies will hear this later on, and they'll, offer some comments, and we can talk about it later date, because this is an ongoing situation, ongoing problem. And I know right now there's some ladies out there that are looking at this situation and saying, or they're going to say later on, man, I wish I had called in, because they have a lot to say about this topic. But that's all right. We're going to put this on pause, and we will talk about it again. But it's just been a good hour with you, brother.
Oh, it always is, man.
Oh, yeah.
And
we will address this issue again. And we thank, Sophia for calling in. And for all those who are listening, please continue to support Gynesis.
Absolutely.
On these platforms.
We need y'all. I got a great song I'm going to play for you as we go out, and it's called One Good Thing.
There you go. Drop it, brother.
You know what I mean? So it's something new from Babyface, and it's called One Good Thing. And I want y'all to listen to what he says and listen to what she says. You know what I mean? So maybe we can learn something from, because there's always a message in our music.
Oh, absolutely.
So we got to get back to that, to the message in the music. So y'all, it's been a pleasure. And I got this joint for y'all. And me and Ron and Roman will be back next week.
Peace.